Hello, and welcome back to our video series ranking the top 10 best new roller coasters that opened in the US in a specific year. It's been a while since we did one of these videos. For those who have been following this series, apologies for the delay. And for those who are new, welcome. We've made it to 2015, a year where we were all debating over whether or not this dress was white and gold or black and blue. And apparently we were too busy with that, so we've only been on half the coasters on this list. Therefore, we enlisted the help of our good friend Chris with Airtime Thrills to help us out with the ranking. We'll talk about the 5 coasters we've been on, and he'll fill in what's missing. Okay, it's time to rank up the new coasters that opened in the United States in 2015. A total of 44 roller coasters were built in 2015, but as always in this series, we only rank coasters that were newly constructed for each season, so you will not see coasters that were relocated and then opened at a different park in 2015, which leaves us with 31 new coasters to look at. We were able to narrow it down quite a bit because, like with 2014, there were a ton of SBF Visa spinning coasters, 5 to be exact, and 4 mountain coasters, which are fun, but we're tired of talking about them. Also, a bunch of kiddie coasters that we'll ride for the credit, but never speak of again. The shame is real. Before we get started, it's important to remind you that our rankings are based on how the coasters operated at the time of their opening year. So if they've become rougher or had modifications since 2015, that will not play a role in how they are ranked today. First up is an honorable mention, which is Batman at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, an SNS 4D free spin. I smashed my nuts on this coaster after leaving too much room in the restraint and came down on the leg divider after a flip. It's more like a dishonorable mention, so I'm just gonna stop talking about this one. Okay, starting off this list, we head to Adventure City, a small park just down the road from my home park, Knott's Berry Farm. But the last time I visited Adventure City, the spot for this number 10 coaster was occupied by Treetop Racers, which closed in 2012. So now I must tap my ruby red slippers 3 times and take myself to Chris in Kansas.
Dude, I'm in Oklahoma.
Close enough.
Chris, seriously, spring the $20 and get to Adventure City. You gotta ride the number 10 best coaster of 2015, Rewind Racers. This is a Gerstlauer shuttle family coaster. Using a chain, they take the train up 39 feet backwards, releasing it into its course. Pretty basic. A turn and a helix, and then you go up another spike. This one using drive tires, and you get to do the whole thing backwards. That backwards section is quite the gut punch. I'd say it's like a 5-year-old punching you in the gut. It's fun for the whole family, and your kids might absolutely love it.
Well, as long as they haven't been on Batman at Six Flags Fiesta Texas and they're able to have kids. Hey Chris, how does it compare to the gut punch Green Lantern at Six Flags Magic Mountain gave?
Yeah, that's not your gut it's punching.
And now we go from an Adventure City to an Adventure Land, the one in Long Island, New York to be specific. Number 9 goes to Turbulence. Built by Mock Rides, Turbulence is one of only 2 coasters like it in the United States, with Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's Berry Farm being the other. The ride stands at a height of 55 feet and reaches a top speed of 40 miles per hour, which doesn't sound like much, but we really enjoyed the ride. It's smooth, mildly disorienting, and a heck of a lot of fun as you navigate its 1,253 feet of track. While it might only sit at number 9, we have absolutely nothing bad to say about it. Landing at the sweet spot of number 8 is Laff Trakk at Hershey Park. Manufactured by Mora Rides, Laff Trakk gave Hershey Park 2 things it didn't have before, an indoor coaster and a spinning coaster. The name of the ride comes from the Laughing Sal animatronic that was a staple of theme park funhouses and dark rides in the 1930s and 40s. The funhouse theme is also a nod to the former funhouses at Hershey Park throughout the years. It all starts off with a fun, well-decorated, and very enjoyable queue that keeps you entertained while waiting. The coaster then continues that fun with a dark journey through glow-in-the-dark set pieces. Being in the dark makes it feel like you're traveling much faster than its 40-mile-per-hour top speed. It's truly one of the better spinning coasters that we've been on. Okay, throwing it over to Chris again.
Thanks, Chris. Let's go to Festa Italia at Busch Gardens Williamsburg and meet number 7, Tempesto. Some kind of daredevil. And even though he may be daring, don't try to get him up early. This ride doesn't open till noon every day. The SeaWorld chain fell in love with the premier ride Skyrocket 2, and they went all 6 flags on us, ordering 3 of them over the course of 4 years, and I'd be surprised if they stopped there. It's a fun ride, using a multi-pass launch, going back and forth until it hits 62 miles an hour and twists up the 150-foot peak, going into a slow inline twist, diving off a vertical twisted edge, and a non-inverting loop to end the ride. If you sit in the very back, you get some crazy whip. That on top of the great hang time in the roll. So this is great as long as you don't mind the comfort collars. Those are known to karate chop your neck.
Switching back to me now. Coming in at number 6 is Switchback at ZDT's amusement park. It's certainly one of the more unusual coasters we've been on. Its layout feels like a crazy coaster rumor from way back in the day. A wooden shuttle coaster? A lift hill and an overbank curve too? Yeah, sure thing, buddy. But the Gravity Group, known for larger and more traditional wooden coasters, did it. The ride starts off like a normal wooden coaster, with a chain lift. It's up 64 feet and then down a 56-foot drop where riders reach a top speed of 41 miles per hour. After a series of turns and airtime hills, it's up the ride's signature 87-degree spike. Then you'll do it all over again, backwards. When it comes to cramming a full-size coaster into a small family park, it doesn't get much better than Switchback at ZDT's amusement park. Flying into number 5 is Thunderbird at Holiday World, but it was closed when we visited the park a few years ago, so it's time to throw it back to Chris again. How was it?
Thunderbird was closed in 2021? Really? Who do they think they are? Elitch Gardens? Come on, Holiday World, it's a B&M. This one's on you. Okay, it was the first B&M to have an LSM launch. This bursting out of its barn at 60 miles an hour, going into a sprawling course of 4 inversions, over 3,000 feet of track, starting over the footpath but going out into the woods, ending with a great near-miss element, an inline twist through a barn. Holiday World broke the bank for this, $22 million, saving up for 9 years after the voyage opened, and this sapped them of all their cash. So much so that 9 years later, all they could afford was a family boomerang.
Good gravy.
Oh, thank you. It's just brown and water.
Thunderbird was worth it. It's by far the best of the American B&M wing coasters, packing that extra punch the other ones just don't have. Just watch out for those vests. There have been many times where I'm sitting on the brake run and this is pinching my thighs so bad it makes me want to throw up.
We haven't been on these next 2 coasters either. See you guys for the top 2. Take it away, Chris.
Number 4 is a ride that's hard to believe even exists, Cannibal at Lagoon. At first, it was said the park built this in-house. Now, the coaster's in the camp of art engineering, so who knows what happened there, and who cares? This is a 208-foot coaster with a 116-degree drop. That alone makes you want to spend $414 to fly to Lagoon and ride. That oddly specific number may or may not be the exact amount I just paid to do just that. You sit in a 12-person car, pull down your lap bar. That's right, this just has a lap bar. Go into a giant tower, up an elevator lift, and dive down that massive drop into a course of 3 wacky inversions, or 4, or 5. They keep changing the number, but the layout stays the same. That's how wacky these are. My favorite is the Lagoon Roll, a double inversion taken super slow, giving you some of the best hang time ever. Cannibal is a bucket list coaster, so get to northern Utah right now and ride. Number 3 is a personal favorite of mine, my first RMC, Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England. I know, I had an RMC 5 minutes away, and yet my first one was 3,000 miles away. Go figure. This was converted from the old Riverside Cyclone that opened in 1983, and it looked kinda crappy, so Wicked Cyclone was a godsend. This gave the park the second elite coaster it desperately needed, and for my money, this and Superman are the best 1-2 punch in America. It may not be big, only 109 feet tall, 55 miles an hour, 3,320 feet of track, 3 inversions. A pretty standard RMC, nothing big and ridiculous like Iron Gwazi or Steel Vengeance. And yet, this one is still top 3 in my books. It has 3 laps around the course, giving serious whip, insane ejector, and sweet, sweet hang time. I keep coming back to the park and keep leaving with the same opinion. Wicked Cyclone is the real deal.
Coming in at number 2 is Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is another RMC conversion of an old wooden coaster. Twisted Colossus made use of the side-by-side tracks of the original Colossus and combined them into one quasi-Mobius track of nearly 5,000 feet. This means riders go up a lift hill twice, once at the start of the ride and again midway through the ride to navigate the other side. Each main drop is 128 feet at 80 degrees with a top speed of 57 miles per hour. A signature element of the ride is its high five section. This is where side-by-side trains twist in opposite directions so that riders have the impression of being able to give each other a high five. But with both hands in the air, shouldn't they call it a high 10 element? Anyway, Twisted Colossus has two inversions, a 0G roll on the blue side and a Top Gun stall on the green side. Both are incredible moments as the train you're racing flies overhead. The ride is packed with an incredible amount of airtime moments as well. The only negative is that the ride rarely races or duels, and while it's still a great ride regardless, being side by side with the other train of riders makes the experience even better. If only people didn't take forever to load.
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful.
And in what is probably not a surprise at this point, Fury 325 at Carowinds takes the #1 spot. This Giga Coaster by Bolliger & Mabillard stands at a whopping 325 feet in the air, which makes it the tallest coaster in the world with the traditional chain lift. Its first drop is an insane 320 feet at 81 degrees, and it reaches a top speed of 95 miles per hour. It's also amongst the longest coasters in the world, with 6,602 feet of track. Fury 325 is also absolutely beautiful to look at, easily one of the sexiest color schemes of any coaster. And the way that it interacts with the front entrance is spectacular, with the track flying over and then under the pathway to the turnstiles. It also crosses state lines in the process. Then there's the iconic treble clef turnaround element, just a thing of beauty. Fury 325 is fast, smooth, and everything we've ever wanted in a coaster. Alright, that's gonna wrap it up for 2015. If you enjoyed this video, there are a bunch more in this series, starting with 2001, so go check those out. Thank you again to Chris from Airtime Thrills for helping us out with this video. If you don't already, please go check out his channel and give him some love. He makes some of the very best coaster content out there. But we want to know what you think of these new coasters from 2015. Did any ranking surprise or upset you? What would you change in your own ranking? Let us know in the comments below. In the next video of this series, we'll rank the top 10 coasters that opened in 2016, so be on the lookout for that. Until then, thanks for counting down with us. See you in the next one.